Midterm elections are around the corner, and Texas Latino Conservatives are endorsing several candidates across the state. So please check our website, texaslatinoconservatives.com, texaslatinoconservatives.com. Scroll all the way, check all our candidates that we have endorsed, and please get to know them, give them the support, vote for them. November 8th is elections day, and also October 11 is the deadline to register to vote. A lot of people in the state of Texas are already eligible to vote, but they haven't registered. So it is very important to register to vote. October 11 is the deadline to register to vote. And again, November 8 is elections day. And one of the important elections also across the state of Texas is the State Board of Education. Texas State Board of Education. We have 15 different districts. And why I'm telling you guys that today, because we have our guest today is the candidate for a State Board of Education in District 2, which is, he's going to talk about not only his background, but what is District 2, what is the area that covered District 2, and he's going to tell us also why he's running for this position. Welcome to TLC Live. Welcome, Orlando Sanchez. Bienvenido. Buenos días.
I'm just thoroughly impressed how you've just taken command and control. You know the dates, you know the candidates, now you know State Board of Education districts. You're, as they say in Spanish, estás bien empapada en todo lo que es importante en las elecciones aquí.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I tried to prepare for the show, but you know what? As I prepared for the show, and as since I start working for with and for Texas Latino Conservatives, and of course with you, Orlando, that you are like an encyclopedia in politics.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. So I've been learning a lot, and
That's only because I'm old and I've been doing it for about a quarter of a century.
no, but you know what? It's important to learn, and as I educate myself, I find out that imagine if I've been in news all these years, 25 years, and I'm still learning, and I'm still don't know many things. I just don't imagine our community.
You mean to tell me you think the news media doesn't know much of anything?
Oh, totally. And every single day I learned that more about that.
Here you go. Somebody that spent almost half her life working adult life in the media says the media doesn't know what they're talking about.
No, for real. And you know what? It's not only that they don't know, but they don't do the good job, because you don't have to know things. But at least
if you ask the right question.
If you ask the right question, and if Google give you everything these days, so you just Google it, and not only that, just provide that information to our community.
Who, what, when, why, and where.
Yeah. The 5 W's is very, very important.
That's all they need to teach in journalism school.
Correct.
In and out, and too often now, you get, I watched the 60 Minutes interview of President Biden with
I haven't. I need to watch
Mr. Pelley, and it's a joke. Biden announces that the pandemic is over, okay? Because he and Pelley are in this exhibition hall without masks. 400 to 500 people die every day of COVID in the United States. Mm-hmm. Imagine if Trump had said that. OMG.
Did he fall asleep in the 60 Minutes?
Well, he was dozing off.
Yeah.
His head kept nodding. But
yeah.
if former President Trump had been seated across from Mr. Pelley on 60 Minutes and said the pandemic is over, the media reaction would have been drastic, immediate, and harsh. But since President Biden now, because he relies on the science, 400 or 500 people die a day of COVID, the infection rate still is pretty high. It's over. And the media is like, oh, okay, Mr. President, thank you.
I know.
It's just ridiculous.
They don't
it
challenge
makes
them.
me sick. And here's another thing. I am so grateful that Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis in Florida has shipped the migrants to Martha's Vineyard, because the intellectual dishonesty of the left is in full display for the country to see. Ask yourself, how long did these immigrants last in Martha's Vineyard? Less than 72 hours before the federal government swept in and warehoused them at a military installation. Now, had that been Mr. Trump, They would have said, Mr. Trump is caging the 55 immigrants. But since the limousine liberals in their liberal enclaves of opulence decided to swoop up all the immigrants in 72 hours and get them the hell out of Martha's Vineyard, the media thinks, oh my God, this is great. We're going to be providing them health care and lawyers and education. This is such a bunch of BS. I'm so fed up with the American media. And so I hope that you guys tune into us because we'll tell you the truth. I really think that DeSantis and Abbott ought to send more immigrants to the liberal enclaves of opulence, including Beacon Hill in Boston, Massachusetts, and Telluride, Colorado, and Martha's Vineyard, and all the liberal enclaves that have zero diversity. Nobody of color lives in liberal enclaves of opulence. They're happy sending them to our communities where our poor taxpayers, especially down along the Texas border, have to foot the bill. Enough is enough. The liberal hypocrisy is on full display. So,
We're gonna go.
Speaking of that, and because the media says that conservatives, we're the party of racist and racism and hatred, right? And anti-immigration. Well, here you have again you, an immigrant, me, an immigrant, and our candidate for State Board of Education in District 2 also displays a little bit of diversity. So, LJ.
But before we go with our guests,
yes,
we're going to go to a commercial break.
Wait, we have commercials now?
We have commercial breaks, but guess what? Our commercials break is with commercials that is produced also by Texas Latino Conservatives. Check it out.
Imagine that.
Our grandparents built Texas. We power it every day. But the party that says they care about us no longer honors the work we do. They raise our taxes, drive up inflation, give us handouts, and expect us to be grateful. Now, you have a choice. Alex Mealer will honor our work, lower our taxes, and clean up corruption. Learn more about Alex Mealer. Visit TexasLatinoConservatives.com.
Well, I think that presenter is a really handsome dude.
I know, imagine.
Look, if I don't toot my own horn, who will?
Imagine commercials produced by Texas Latino Conservatives. The main actor is the big O.
So. No, the main actor are candidates. I mean, these people are working hard across the state of Texas. And as Andrea said, we've rolled up our sleeves and we've grown. Texas Latino Conservatives, I think, has become one of the, if not the largest state PAC that focuses on building the farm team of future conservative leaders of, let's say, of color, not just Latinos, because, we want to make sure that everybody's represented. I know that the bulk of the work that we do is in the Latino community, but we're really proud of our candidates that represent all of our society. And, so go to our website and just click on those regional areas if you want to know who are the great candidates that we're endorsing and supporting in your community. And make sure, as Andrea said, get out and support them. I don't care if it's asking them for a bumper sticker or a yard sign, maybe volunteering one Saturday to block walk, or maybe writing them a check for $50 or $100 to help them in their campaign. Anything you can do is going to help these great candidates get elected in the state of Texas and ensure that Texas continues in conservative leadership hands. Yesterday, it was reported that Governor Abbott is now pulling out ahead almost a double-digit lead over Robert Francis O'Rourke out of El Paso. And so that's good news for the Republicans in the state of Texas and conservatives. I'll also point out that a couple days ago, the New York Times wrote an article about how badly the Democrats are losing Hispanics in the South. They claim they're still hanging on to Hispanics in the North. Yeah, hello, all the Puerto Ricans in New Jersey are members of unions and live off of the government. But in the South, we're fed up. And so Latinos, Hispanics, of every stripe, of every nationality, of every ethnicity, and every race, because we have a variety of people in the Hispanic world. We have African Americans, we have Asians, we have mestizos, we have the indigenous people, we have Caucasians. We're like anybody else. all of them are moving towards the Republican Party and supporting conservatives. Not only is the New York Times recognizing that, but this massive poll we did in Texas of 1,200 Hispanic registered voters in three important regions of the state of Texas confirms that. And it's, we just got to keep the pedal to the metal between now and Election Day, keep the pressure on. Let's not take anything for granted. We've got to run like we're running behind. We're losing. It's fourth and 5 seconds left on the clock, and we got to win this game. So you want to introduce our guest now that I've talked forever?
Another game that we need to win is education for our kids. And that's why today we're have our candidate for District 2 at the Texas State Board of Education. His name is L.J. Francis. Welcome, LJ. Thank you for your time, and thank you for doing what you're doing. You're also an immigrant, as Orlando was mentioning.
Wait, we have three immigrants on the show today.
Three immigrants on the show.
Holy Toledo.
So we want to get to know you first. First of all, well, welcome, and thank you for your time, and not only for running for office, but also for being with us on the show. So tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you so much, Andrea and Orlando and Texas Latino Conservatives. LJ Francis, that's me, and I am so honored to be here. As I was telling a group out in Jackson County last night at an event, the left always like to say conservatives and Republicans are racist, but, I chuckle sometimes. I'm like, what are they going to say about me? So,
Exactly.
yes, born in Jamaica, grew up in Jamaica, and I came to this beautiful country in 2006 to Florida. I was working with my dad and my granddad in their family business there in Florida. And then after I went to engineering school, I did a bachelor's and a master's in civil engineering. And while I was there, I was just learning about the American culture, and it was so interesting to me um, how much emphasis we put on race in America, where these things we can't change. What has been my focus growing up is about how excellent I could be in whatever field I choose, and that is what I bring to this race. I believe that children in Texas need to be challenged, need to know that they have more worth than just the color of their skin, giving parents the ability to make choices on behalf of their children. And really, this is a complex problem, one that needs all our stakeholders, parents, administrators, teachers, policymakers, legislatures, to hone in on the real issues. And if I could boil it down just with one thing, it's that the system that we have is broken right now. Students aren't learning to the potential and the capacity to which they have, and we can do better. And that is the main reason why I'm here. I'm in this race for the State Board of Education. I'm proud to be the Republican nominee in District 2, which is basically South Texas, right along the coast from the border all the way up to Matagorda and Wharton County. And I'm just having a really good time meeting everyone throughout the district.
Well, let me tell you, you're a fantastic candidate, and you bring up an interesting point, LJ. I'm from Cuba. You're my neighbor in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, and of course Andrea and the Colombians are not too far. But one thing that you hit the nail on the head. You said we put too much emphasis on race. Let me correct that. The Democrats and the liberal left put too much emphasis on race. They want to divide Americans by race, by gender, by ethnicity, by sexual orientation, by religion. And what I find interesting is, although I emigrated from Cuba as a young man, in Cuba we never referred to our black citizens as anything other than Cubans. We always talked to them as Cubans, as fellow citizens of Cuba. We never identified people by race. I'm sure it's the same thing in Jamaica. I've had the opportunity to visit your beautiful country. I don't think people divide themselves by race. I don't know what it's like in Colombia. I mean, do you divide people by race and ethnicity?
No. And we all get along, and nobody is discriminating nobody. I mean,
Yeah.
It's just in this country, I don't understand.
Well, it's the liberal left, and they continue to do that. But LJ, the other comment that you made that I think is dead on is as an immigrant myself who didn't speak the language when I came to this country. I'm the only person in my family to receive a college degree. My daughter now has 3 degrees, was working on her fourth. Thank God I was going broke. But
At least
anyway,
you learned the language. I'm still learning.
yeah, well, it's okay. Um, the key to success in this country, LJ, is what?
It's
Education.
education.
No
Yes.
question.
Orlando, I'll never forget, as you know, and Andrea, you know as well, when you're here for a while and then you take the oath of becoming U.S. citizen. So when I went to the naturalization ceremony, I was asked to do the address on behalf of all newly minted citizens. So I went around and I spoke with people that were there. And I say, tell me about your American journey, your path to citizenship. The very first thing someone told me was, just the need for safety and security being in America, the opportunities that they were able to receive being here and being able to work hard. And the very next thing was an education for my family. This was an older gentleman, and that's something that God bless America that we could have. I mean, there's so much opportunity here. We have so much opportunities for people of all ages. I mean, in my country, it's after you pass a certain age, people stop thinking about school. In America, you could go to school for as long as you want, and there are just so many opportunities and scholarships available, and just the richness of what America has that we need to ensure that children in the state of Texas receive.
And I'm going to let Andrea talk here for just a moment, but we're on the subject of education. Part of what we do at Texas Latino Conservatives, uh, LJ, is not only try to educate the Hispanic community about the importance of engaging in civic activity and voting and, running as candidates and just getting involved. But we also talk to Republicans to try to get them educated on the Latino community, our diverse community. And I consider my Caribbean neighbors as Latinos. And, you know, I'm somewhat shocked sometimes how vociferously the Republicans, some Republicans, not all, fight early childhood education. Really? We have bigger fish to fry. And I was once at Rice University here in Houston, and one of the sociologists, Stephen Kleinberg, made a comment to me that I'll never forget that a child that comes to this country who's language deficient, or a child that comes from a poor urban neighborhood, when they start kindergarten, have about a 10,000 word deficiency. And that puts them way behind, LJ. And so I don't know why Republicans get so wrapped around the axle about early childhood education. I don't have a problem with giving kids a head start and giving them, especially those that have vocabulary deficiency, an opportunity to get up to speed like the rest of their kids. There are neighborhoods in Houston that are quite wealthy as any community, and the parents spend a lot of time with the kids and they read to them at night, and the children, 4 or 5 years old, have a good vocabulary for their age. But there are hardworking urban poor that have 2 jobs. They can't read to their children. And so when they start school, they are deficient. So, why do you think we sometimes oppose early childhood education?
I the one thing that I know for sure, Orlando, is that you're right. Starting children early on a word list on things that will challenge them, given that exposure to different literature and reading experiences definitely sets up children for success. I mean, I remember in my own experience growing up, my mom was a teacher for 35 years. So, of course, there was a lot of reading in my home. And when we start school back in my country, I mean, you're learning stuff at the age of 2 years old. Um, and it's actual school. It's not playtime. We're being challenged that early because we know that there is a need to start ensuring that children um, love to learn. And right now it's a culture, especially in America, we have to be, and even worldwide, a culture of lifelong learning. um, I think some people that they don't understand um, just what is necessary in developmental education. Children, for sure, I believe, need to get that early start in learning things that will set them up for success.
You're absolutely right. I'm coming from Colombia, and I remember going to pre-K at 3 years old, and then 4 years old, you're going to kindergarten, and you go like I was like 3 different years before I start first grade, and by the time that I start, it was kinder something, I was already reading at the age of 5 or almost 6. I was already reading, and it's different back then, but of course the culture is different over there. And we were we don't have that privilege that people have here, that we pay taxes, and you're able to send your kids without paying extra money. Over there we have public education and private education too, but most of the people have to send their kids to private education, otherwise they're not going to get good education. Here is different, but things are changing, and I believe that's why you're running for this position. So I want to know why you decide to run for this position, and what is your platform, and why people need to support you on District 2.
Thank you, Andrea. So the main thing why I'm running is I have seen me and actually my wife Andrea. We have a son, and we saw that he was not being challenged. He was in high school at the time, and there was no rigor in the classroom. And when I came here to Texas, I've been working on my PhD in environmental engineering, and I had the opportunity to teach physics class as well. And I realized that students did not have the the core part of the curriculum in physics that I would have expected at that level. And we're talking about calculus-based physics, so this was, an advanced class or maybe AP for high school students. And I had to go back and make sure that certain principles were learned. So I realized then, I asked myself the question, why is this happening? Because you know there's a lot of information out there. There's no lack of information in this day and age. And what I began to see was that there was a lack of emphasis on the core curriculum, on what students need to know to be successful. And quite frankly, Andrea, it's because we have now stepped away from objective right wrong answers to a feelings based system where students are not challenged to actually learn things that will set them up for success. They're not learning the core parts of the subject that they need to be able to build on for future growth, in academic endeavors, the military, or even for the workplace. Students weren't being prepared, and I saw that with my own eyes. Talked to community members here in District 2, and I've worked with teachers on a grant, just promoting engineering and education. And, I've just listening to their stories saying how hard it is to actually teach what they were employed to do. um, a big complaint from teachers is there is not enough contact time to be able to teach the subject that they need to deliver to students. There's just not enough time in the school year, let alone not enough time to balance helping students to get up to the level that they need to be while doing a lot of other administrative paperwork. So there are several problems. And then one of the biggest ones in during the time when I decided to is there was seeming to be a very big disdain for parents getting involved in education. During
That's
COVID,
because they want
students
government
were
to
home.
raise our children.
Right. Yeah, students were home, Orlando, and parents began to see what was actually going on inside the classroom. And you know what? They were not happy. They were not happy at all, and they needed a voice, a strong conservative voice, to say, "Listen, this is not representative of our community here in South Texas." The Latino community, the African American community, just South Texas culture is about family, and or family values, and also strong Christian values as well. And that was not being represented.
Well, let's take a real quick commercial break. Right, we have another spot because people are paying for this. We'll be right back with you, LJ, and maybe Mark can load up the next spot.
Our grandparents built Texas. We power it every day. But the party that says they care about us no longer honors the work we do. They raise our taxes, drive up inflation, give us handouts, and expect us to be grateful. Now, you have a choice.
Jack Mormon fights for the ship channel, energy jobs, and prosperity for Harris County. Learn more about Jack Mormon.
Visit TexasLatinoConservatives.com.
All right, LJ, we're back with you. We have just a few minutes left. I'm going to steal Andrea's line. For the viewers that are watching you, especially in your District 2 position for the State Board of Education, what are you going to ask them to do? What can they do to help you get elected?
What is your call to action?
Call to action, definitely. Right now, we have, as you know, we have such a very large district. District 2, covers 14 counties. It's about 1.9 million people. First thing we could do is to go on my Facebook page, www.facebook.com/LJ Francis for Texas. Um, like my page, follow it, and also invite your friends. If you live in District 2, to follow the page, get updates, and just share the message with everyone. I have a website, www.ljfortexas, everything spelled out.com, which you can see
Is
on
it
your screen.
spelled out, right? Not the number
Spelled out,
4.
yes.
Okay,
Right.
there it is.
And I have push cards. We're doing a door-to-door campaign. We're getting people engaged because I know that the conversation for education has to be more than just like the flyby media says. It's more than just what we see in the news. It's more than what we know is out there. We need conversations that will engage families to let them know that, hey, LJ Francis wants to put your child and you first. We're supporting our teachers as well, ensuring that they have a knowledge building curriculum. So I think the most important thing is to um, contact my campaign on the contact us page, or text through Facebook, and just let me know you need some push cards or business cards just to spread that name, so people will know when they go to their ballot on November 8th. In that ballot box, they're marking LJ Francis for Texas, for your children's education. And if you'd like to donate as well to increase our reach, right on that page, ljfortexas.com, support LJ. You could donate as much as you feel comfortable to do. I would appreciate that highly. And the number there is directly to me, so feel free to email me or text me. Let me know your concerns and what you think that we could work together on.
Fantastic, LJ.
Education is the key. Education give us power and give us voice. So let's
Yes.
educate ourselves. Let's educate about our candidates. The most important thing is to go out and vote. I always do it in early voting. That's the best thing. But before that, you need to register to vote. October 11 is the deadline to register to vote. And remember, November 8th is Elections Day, but 2 weeks before, we have in Texas early voting. And that's the best thing that we need to do to support our families, to support our city, our county, our state, and our children's with education.
And I want to say, I'm reminded back we had May elections, you remember? Mm-hmm. We were supporting several candidates. We had 3 great Hispanic candidates running for 3 different school districts here in the Houston area. All 3 were elected.
Yeah.
You remember that day we had them? They were all 3 brilliant.
Yep.
This reminds me of those candidates. LJ is extremely brilliant. I'm so proud of him. He just makes our party, our conservative movement look great. And
look diverse.
Let's not use liberal words. I mean, we're all Texans, but yes, for a party that's supposed to be racist,
That's what I'm saying.
We got a record number of
being sarcastic.
like the liberal left like to say, people of color.
Yeah.
I mean, really, who cares? Because they're great quality people. They're working hard for Texans, for all children, and it doesn't matter the color of our skin or where we came from. We're Texans, we're Americans, we're taxpayers, and we're all in the fight together. So, LJ, I'm extremely proud of you. I just think that sometime I may see Governor LJ Francis someday.
Hey, why
I
not?
mean, you know, this guy is like, you know, on the top of his
On
game.
fire.
He's on fire. LJ, God bless. Thank you. We'll hope to have you back before the election. We're going to have a lot of candidates, but let us know if you need anything. Andrea, you want to sign us off?
Of course. Well, thank you, LJ. Gracias. Muchas gracias por haber estado con nosotros. Thank you so much. Please visit us in TexasLatinoConservatives.com, TexasLatinoConservatives.com. And as I said at the beginning of the show, we have all the lists of the candidates that we have endorsed. So please get to know them, educate yourself, and go and vote. That's the most important thing. And become a member of Texas Latino Conservatives. Nos vemos el próximo miércoles. Chao, chao.
Bye.